How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the first Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
You know, we're getting Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, otherwise known as Quantumania, or Ant-Man 3, or whatever you want to call it.
We were debating what people should actually be calling it.
It should be called Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 Quantumania. Colon somewhere in there.
Not even a colon. They're going to Quantumania.
Yeah,
Let's have fun with it.
Yeah, to Quantumania.
Yeah,
Let's do
Ant-Man
it.
and the Wasp to Quantumania. But anyway, not about that movie. We're here to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Here to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp. We both were pretty big fans of the first Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
I loved it. Probably the funniest MCU movie, in my opinion.
After it came out, I think I put it equal to the first Iron Man, which is not where it is now on my list, but
Okay.
I was that hype coming out of the theater.
As far as quality.
Yes.
I was really hyped walking out of Ant-Man,
Yeah.
though. But, I mean, this one had some pretty big shoes to fill. And I remember being kind of just, like, a little underwhelmed when it came out, other than the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I think this is one of those movies that really benefits from a rewatch.
Yeah.
Because I don't...
And the pandemic.
That too.
Yeah.
Because I really think it was because it came out after Infinity War, which is still, to me, a top tier movie.
Yeah, that's a masterpiece. And then it's like, okay, and this is Peyton Reed's even called the Ant-Man movies are palate cleansers, right? Because the first Ant-Man was after Age of Ultron, I think.
Yes.
And then now the second one's after Infinity War. And this next one's gonna be the first one that's like its own big grand thing. So as far as like, you know, the slope that this is going, like I feel like these movies are kind of like it's almost going to be like a duo of movies, and then this next one's just going to be kind of crazy.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We don't know. We don't know.
I will say this one wasn't as funny as the first one. Like, there's not as many like gut busting, like laughing lines for me. It's consistently funny though throughout.
Sure.
Like little jokes here and there.
I do think that the comedy is still the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it's not the dialogue, it's not the story, it's not the visuals. Although the visuals are great, and story was
not
fine.
the plot, not the villain.
Villain. So, like, okay, so is the villain? Well, let's get into this. Is the villain Ghost or is the villain Walter Goggins? Who I can't remember his.
Yeah, it's like it's an ensemble villain cast is what it is.
Okay.
And more than anything else, it's the circumstances are the villain, and then these just happen to be the obstacles in place.
So okay, if we're gonna say Ghost is the villain, then I'm gonna say I like the villain of this movie. If we're gonna say it's Walton Goggins, which I still can't remember what his name is in the movie,
Silas something
like that, Southern drawl, whatever his name was. He was fine. He's okay, but they didn't give him anything to do per se, right? Except he's the antagonist for the ex-con storyline, right? With Luis and all that. He's not really the antagonist too much for our main story with let's get this building to a safe place so we can do what we need to do with it, right?
Right. Could you make the argument that Bill Foster is the villain?
Bill Foster is Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah.
I don't know if you could, because he at the end of the day he does the right thing or tries to, right? And
does he do the right thing, or does he just stop someone from doing the wrong thing? Or stop someone from doing the most wrong thing?
I guess if you took him out of the equation, this would have been swimmingly gone like perfectly well for the Ant-Man gang, for the Pym gang. But I don't know. You're right. There's a blender full of villains in this.
Yeah.
And they all have like nothing to do. So it's like between them all, they manage, right?
Right.
Which I thought it was fine. That's probably the biggest weakness of this movie, though, right? You'd say.
Yeah, and it, in a way, it's almost an intentional weakness because I don't think they were trying, because they never tried to set any of them up as like this big villain we're supposed to fear.
This is still like not early Marvel, but early enough that they're still putting all their emphasis on the heroes. Villains don't really matter so much.
We say early Marvel. This is the end of Phase 3. Like, what do you mean?
This is before Phase 4, right? That's what I mean. I mean, when did we really, other than Infinity War? I feel like that was our like first big emphasis on the villain.
Technically, this is the first like post Thanos villain, right?
Yeah, and so it just couldn't stack up.
Yeah,
couldn't stack up at all. Maybe they just figured, hey, let's not even try with our villain because we're really putting all our chips into Thanos with this one. But I really like this. I felt that the movie kind of felt like the need to like force Michael Pena and like T.I. and Del, can't think of his name.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm not even going to try.
He's great, Polka Dot Man. I felt like their storyline just had to be in there, and if you're gonna put it in there, then give them some more funny dialogue. And like,
it was one of those where it's like, hey, everyone loved these characters from the first one, so we have to use them this time. It's a very like like the 2000s era sequels were like notorious for doing this. Like we don't have a reason for these characters. People like them, so
it almost feels like they must have improved a lot of their lines in the first Ant-Man. That really worked. It was like lightning in a bottle. And they're like, oh, we'll do it again this time. They didn't really write them anything because like it's not like their acting is bad. It's just nothing stands out to me. Nothing that they said stood out to me other than maybe like the truth serum scene was kind of funny.
Serum scene was funny. The Baba Yaga stuff I found it funny. Yeah,
it's funny, but they're playing off of what they did in the first Ant-Man, right? There was a Baba Yaga stuff in there too, right? So I don't know. I thought it was okay as far as that goes. How'd you feel about the story though? We're trying to get Mom back. Yeah. All right, she's possessing Ant-Man.
You know, like I think with most movies where like
we're going spoilers, by the way. I don't know if we say that 10 minutes into the review.
I think like a lot of movies where they're just kind of fighting against circumstances. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that just kind of happen because like
to move the plot forward.
And I don't know if my attitude is like soured on that kind of thing, but like because we were watching it together. Like there are a number of times where I'm like, okay, but that only happens because
this needs to happen.
Yeah,
sure. I don't know. It didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
More so than anything, what bothered me was what's his name? Randall Park. Randall Park's character had so much heavy exposition in the beginning.
Just right at the beginning.
And then he's just gone the whole movie, and he's back at the end for like the funniest scene in the movie, and that's it. And I'm like, I feel like they could have used him a little bit more.
He pops up a little bit more. He doesn't have a bunch to do.
Barely.
Yeah.
Like I would take Walton Goggins out and just make the FBI the other like antagonist. I feel like they didn't need to be in there at all. Give Randall Park more, especially in an Ant-Man movie. I feel like he would have brought the laughs, whereas Walton Goggins didn't bring anything. I'm sorry, Walton. He's great, but like he didn't bring anything to this movie, and it's like,
yeah, I don't know. It's one where like when you break apart the individual components of this movie, it's just like, oh, this wasn't great. This wasn't great. This could be better. But
it all worked together.
But watching the movie as a whole, like I don't know about you, I came out of it after we just watched it, and I liked it more this time than I did in theaters.
For sure.
And like. And I'm not sure that I can explain why, other than like the expectations being different.
I wonder if it's just because that post-credit scene was such a big thing when it happened, and it still is, but like that it kind of just erases everything we just watched with the first time around. And this time around, you know, we know it's coming. It's not as important now.
It is probably, and you made this point when we were watching it, it is probably the most important post-credit scene in the MCU.
I think so. There's probably maybe there might be one more, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. This is the one that like I feel like
there's nothing else that, because like the Nick Fury showing up at the end of Iron Man kind of like tease like there's a lot of post-credit scenes that like tease what we're going to see.
But if you don't watch it, it's okay. Like you're not going to miss anything.
I think this is the only one where like there's so much, like basically all of Endgame hinges on this post-credit scene happening, and at the same time it's so creepy in a way. Like it's really like it ends and it's kind of freaky. The first post-credit,
especially because how they set up in the first Ant-Man movie how scary the quantum realm is if you're trapped there endlessly, just getting smaller and like he's there, and while it seems like okay they've got 3 people they can get him out, they're gone. No one else knows he's there. What do you do? It's like locking yourself in a locker and then your friend leaves and it's like no one's there to get you out. Like, man, not that that's ever happened, but it seems like the same type of situation.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked that we got to see with this movie was in the first Ant-Man movie, Paul Rudd's not like, or Scott Lang's not like super like great with combat. Like we see like Hope training him, but he's not like that great, especially in the beginning. And this, we're seeing somebody use the Ant-Man suit. Like Hope is using the Ant-Man suit, and she's like super good at fighting already.
Right.
So like that was really interesting to see. Like I wish like Scott could fight as well as she does, just to see how like.
But from a story standpoint, like I'm glad he doesn't.
But like maybe in the third one now he'll be like combat ready, and like just to see him and Wasp like go at it together, which we see in this.
Just
but,
in
like,
time for Kang to
just like bang, like he's like, oh, I can take anyone now, and then Kang just destroys him immediately. What'd you think of Evangelina Lilly in this?
Solid, I guess.
They definitely give her less than in the first movie, I felt
Which
like.
is weird to say since her character is now like in the title and a full-fledged superhero.
And like her character is very important to the story. I just feel like other than, you know, the combat stuff, she's just kind of typing and not really saying anything other than quantum, you know?
I think it's because like now her screen time goes towards action sequences versus before it was more character and like espionage. It was all her doing work.
Mary Payne Reed figured we gave her enough character in the first one. They know who she is. Let's see her do some badass stuff, which is it's fine. It's fine. I do wish we would have gotten a little bit more time with Janet. But I guess that's to be expected. It's kind of like the big like thing at the end is that she's back. But like, I wanted to see more time with her and like the family. I feel like you get Michelle Pfeiffer, you want to get your money's worth, and I felt like we didn't get too much of her. But like, sure, they're gonna do more with her.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that's what, what this movie is.
For sure.
Speaking of family, I know you can't wait to talk about Scott's family.
Okay, you mean his extended family,
his ex-wife and her
What's her name? Judy Greer?
Yes.
I don't want to hate, but I've just never liked her in anything that she's been in. Like,
I don't want to hate.
She's just like you. I'm sorry. She's not a bad actress. She's fine. She's a serviceable actress. But even her husband in this too. They just don't like do. There's no reason for them to be there. Like, why are they there?
The classic like, oh, they were in the first one, so we're gonna put them in the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, if you're gonna be there, then like, do something. Like, give me a reason why they're there. I don't know.
They're there to drop Cassie off and pick her back up. That's what they're there for.
So they got to pick
logistics.
Up her shoes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And like, she's such a hard contrast from how her character was in the first movie. Like, I get it. He's a superhero now. He's famous, but like, she switched up so much.
Well, more and like he actually like turned his life around.
Yes,
it's kind of it's an encouraging tale of how like you can find redemption and find your family and everything else.
I suppose, but
and it all hinges on Judy Greer's performance.
Which actually, this was my big gripe when we first started watching this movie. I was talking to you about it. I felt like the first Ant-Man movie does so much to like bring Hank Pym and Hope together, and then bring like Paul Rudd, Scott Lang like with them, and they have a great like dynamic and a relationship by the end of that movie. And just because he took the suit to Berlin without telling them and like got caught and all this, now they hate him and like. I don't know. Like
I'm not gonna say hate, but I think like definitely they were just like, we don't need him.
They stopped. Yeah, I don't know, but like
because
they had a relationship.
The second they needed him again, like they were back. Like if they how
deep is Hope and Scott's relationship if they can just drop it like that? You know what I mean? And she's even like we were Ant-Man together and other stuffing together. So like why it must not have been that great for you to just drop it like this, right? So. I don't know. I felt like that was a bit like, okay, we need a reason for them to like be divided so we can bring them together. But you could have probably cut a lot out of the movie and them just have been like on Scott's side. Like he was lying to the FBI. He actually is friends with them still and does keep in contact. Like it just seemed unnecessary, right? And it's like a huge chunk of this movie is a pretty big chunk of this movie is dedicated to that. So I was like, I don't know. At least the beginning. God, I'm trying to think what else. Are you ready to score it? Or?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to score it.
All right. Go ahead. Go first.
I think I'm going to go with an 8.
8?
Yeah.
Solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely it doesn't reach that like masterpiece 10 or like even 9 level, but like it's fun. The pacing was pretty well. It wasn't like the best paced movie in the world, but it goes by.
Pacing was decent. Jokes were funny. It goes along pretty well. Action sequences are good. Like again,
action sequences were
as much
good.
as we broke it apart, at the end of the day, it's an enjoyable movie. It's a lot of fun. I'd watch it. I'd watch it again, and I don't know that I would have said that like the first time I saw it. So.
Okay, have you seen it since?
I think this is my first time.
Your second. So okay,
second time seeing. First time since we saw it in theaters. Yeah, okay, I think so.
Are you more hyped now for Quantumania?
No, because I don't know.
I'm so hyped. I don't know if I could be more hyped for Quantumania though. Since the first movie, I just was like, as soon as they go to the quantum realm, I'm like, I just want to spend more time here. And even in this movie, we spend a little more time in there, but not nearly the amount of time necessary. But maybe it was just because they knew we were gonna get all like a 2-hour quantum realm movie for the third one, or the part 2 of Wasp, whatever you want to call it. But
I just hope the quantum realm has a lot of sand. That's all. You want to take us out?
We'll see you guys next week for our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, Quantumania, Ant-Man 3. See you guys.
See ya.